Grand Rising Soul Siblings, we're going to go ahead and go into a couple of things. Again, this is just something that I'm putting forth. And, I just have this strong urge or something to share this with you guys. I haven't had time to put it together or anything, but I'm just wondering if anybody can help me understand what we're really talking about here. Again, I just randomly did all of this, and within 10 minutes, I heard someone say something about the book of Matthew. You know what I'm saying? I'm going through like a lot of things in the spiritual realm, in the biblical, within the word and within things that are going on right now and trying to correlate them. Again, I am, again, not religious. Y'all know that already. And I'm just trying to use my gifts in order to understand what we're talking about in this word and how important this might be for me to speak this today, at this time, right? So it's just been on me all day about something that I'm supposed to be looking at. And then one of my soul siblings on Facebook shared a video and they were talking about this. So again, something that he was saying was correlating what I'm thinking. And so I'm just looking like, well, it's not correlating, but he was speaking on this matter, and keywords, the field of blood, came to mind, right? So, excuse me. So he was talking about Matthew 27, and when he was talking about it, the talons, and that someone brought these and put them in, and it just kind of like, I don't know, it spoke something to me. And so I decided to go and look into the historical portion of or into his story to see where I can find something about a field of blood, right? Because I know I had run across this a while back, but again, I don't document things. I usually just keep them in mind. So again, it says here that this is why it has been called the field of blood to this day, right? So it's talking about the field of blood. And it's talking about the monastery built at the traditional location for the field of blood, Matthew 27:8, the 8th verse of 27 of the 27th chapter of the Gospel of Matthew in the New Testament. The priests used them to buy a potter's field. So again, this is some kind of field that maybe someone had obtained. Again, I'm not 100%. All of that kind of skipped my mind because I'm over here now. But anyhow, it's saying something about the priests used them to buy a potter's field and make a cemetery, which is known as the field of blood. Okay. So again, they have a building here, but again, perception is everything. And I won't perceive that it looks like this until I finish doing my research. But for right now, I didn't have time to crop the thing or nothing. So y'all just seeing the whole screen, and it really don't matter at this point in time. So again, let's go here. Not there. Okay. So I went to this because it made me think about, when we're talking talons, it made me think, what type of money are we talking about today? And so when I looked at something that happened within the headlines over the past couple of days, talons made me think of trillions, right? So again, so even if this story has happened again, we're in times when these particular things are going on again, or they're going on now and were written about then. You know what I'm saying? I can't really exactly explain how unless you know what I'm saying. So right here it says that in the field of blood, Joan B. Freeman recovers the long lost story of a physical violence on the floor of the U.S. Congress. It's a whole bunch, there's some missing here because this is shortened. And it says, in the process, she brings the antebellum Congress to life, revealing its rough realities, the feel, sense, and sound of it, as well as the nation-shaping import. So again, that made me think about something that I heard something about Congress lately, right? So again, I'm just giving y'all all this or whatever because I feel like these things correlate. It's not in order or anything like that. If you want to do something with it, you can. Just bringing it out like this. It's just a mess, and I'm just sitting in my car right now, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it out like how I see it. So it says something about the ceremonies, and I know that the person that was doing the video was talking about the bread, breaking bread, and the bread and wine, and the whole supper and everything like that, right? So it says here that the history of the Iroquois, the ceremonies of the Indian priests, and the Matias. Okay, so I don't know if that's how that's pronounced, but again, I was looking for something about metals, right? Or just even about silver, to see what that could be correlating with historically. or are we just talking about silver? And then what would that correlate with today, right? So it says, whatever might be the causes, however, which led to the selection of the French. So again, a lot of things about French, have been put in my view. Again, the way that I work, there are other energies, entities, beings here that I don't know, or just even like in my feed, certain things like the universe just feeds me and I take what I need, right? So, there's specific people that I feel that I see are attached to these things. But again, I'm not at a point right now where I want to be speaking any further than that. We're just going to go ahead and keep it moving. So again, I hope that this, if someone can help me kind of figure this out. So, so it says of the French, okay, as the early teachers of the Onondagas, which reminds me of Nagas, actually. There can be no doubt of the fact there are old traditions. Again, I just use, this is notes on the Iroquois and some other tribes or whatever. You can Google it if you want. And it says there are some old traditions of Indians passed away, letters and allusions in miscellaneous history of times, and monuments and ruins, curious and wonder provoking in the Onondaga country, to attest the truth of this transaction and to show that a colony was actually planted again. So again, this is reminding me of the field, the potter's field or whatever, right? So it's saying here that let's see. So there's a transaction. Again, that's what it's talking about in Matthew, right? Was actually planted in that country. And again, these would have been countries sectioned off as countries possibly back then, right? Is how we can look at it. That is spread and flourished. And again, those countries would have become now the people possibly, right? The bloodlines, the lineages that are connected to certain portions and lands that have been, we have been blindly not realizing until lately that some of us have ties to some of these lands, portions of lands, and they have been keeping them and using them for other things except for what they should be used for, okay, because of our ignorance. So it says for a few years, again, remember, I'm never here to tell you what it is, what it ain't. I'm simply sharing what it looks like to me, okay? Eventually gathered into the gold hunting elements of the Spanish adventures, okay, which had overturned the empires of Incas and of the Montezumas, and that it finally and horribly perished in one night in a field of blood. The rest of this extraordinary tale of colonization and wild adventure, I state in the words of the late Governor DeWitt Clinton. So again, can we think that this Clinton has something to do with the ones of today? A man whose comprehensive mind and grasping literary taste led him to enter as an efficient laborer in the fields of the American antiquities. A man whose researches were always governed by a spirit of philosophy, reacting on the well-provided materials of history, which dwelt in his own mind, and who ever sought to make the solemn instructions of the part adonatory, I think that's what it says, it's kind of rubbed off, to the present and future. Again, present and future. This is how we're looking at the text on this channel, particularly in our singular, prosperous political career of government, population, and vast resources. Not only do the references to books sustain this passage of his early research. And again, this is why I'm not all the way with all of that. You don't need books these days and all that other garbage, because that is some new kind of age way where they want us to let go of some of this material that is very prominent and very instructive as to the things that are going on today. So this is why I love books, especially old ones, right? So again, it helps us not have to lean on, and I have books that are actually very old in my possession that speak of these things, and that speak of these things in timelines and things like that, that are from the 1800s, 1700s. So again, I just pull them out when I need them. So again, this is talking about a monastery. Now, I would like to find out if there is a monastery in the area where this happened in his story, because they're talking about it in the biblical text, right? So again, it said it's called the Field of Blood to this day. Is this place that we're talking about in the Americas still called the Field of Blood today? And again, I haven't even looked it up on the map. I'm just kind of just doing this really quick, okay? So it says, very early in the morning, leading priests and elders of the people met again and laid plans for putting Jesus to death. Now, again, this is someone trying to pursue or slew what Christ. And again, I told you already, you could go ahead and look on my channel who some of the people that I potentially think would be this figure today, who I feel I know would be, again, and it's kind of hard because I see a duality there when it comes to it's hard to explain. Okay. So again, then they bound him, led him away, and took him to Pilate, the Roman governor. And I had this feeling when I thought about this particular person this morning, or someone that may be tied or connected to this person, that something was not right. Okay. So again, it says, when Judas, who had betrayed him, realized that Jesus had been condemned to die, he was filled with remorse. So he took the 30 pieces of silver back to the leading priests and elders and said, I have sinned. He declared, for I have betrayed an innocent man. What do we care? They retorted. That's your problem. Then Judas threw the silver coins down in the temple and went out and hanged himself. So again, I'm just wondering what this actually talking about. It says the leading priest picked up coins. It wouldn't be right to put this money in the temple treasury, they said, since it was a payment for murder. After some discussion, they finally decided to buy the potter's field, and they made it into a cemetery for foreigners. That this is why the field is still called the Field of Blood. This field fulfilled the prophecy of Jeremiah that says they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price at which he was valued, whatnot. So again, this is Judas. Right. Okay. So again, what I'm saying is the biblical text is telling us that someone portrayed someone, but did they portray someone, or is this what it is saying? You see what I'm saying? Or is this just what somebody is saying because maybe one party is not really privy to know actually what's going on, so they cannot attest to what. See, okay, again. So again, yeah, so this is talking about violence in the Congress. So again, I'm going to show you something in a second that made me think about this. Congress and the road to civil war. And this book right here, I haven't read it or anything. I just thought that the image was interesting. The Field of Blood. There's two people fighting here. Violence in the Congress and the road to civil war, by Joan B. Freeman. And again, thinking about that, I know that there was something about Pelosi and somebody else, and I know her name, but that's just how I'm saying it. So, and somebody else that with Biden and his thing that he put forth or whatever. We'll see in a second. Okay. Again, this is kind of like a messy approach, but I'm hoping to show you guys how we're talking past, present, and possibly future, because this is what's going on now, and what happened then is molding what is to come. Okay. So again, this is another portion of the history of the Iroquois, and it says Webster told the golds that the French who occupied this fort, okay, so again, we know all about the forts and stuff that were here, that were used to, that were occupied by certain people, and other people were held there. I believe that they were holding slaves and people that shouldn't have been there, in order to transport or whatnot also. And he had, I even kind of remind me of, well, I did something on tabernacles, and I did something on the tents and stuff like that, from my historical aspect and the biblical. So anyways, let's see. And had the occupied this fort and had the nucleus of a colony around it. Excited the jealousy and the ire excuse me, of the old not, we're gonna just call them old Nagas, okay, because again, names, things have been changed. Same thing history, same thing biblical. By the hostilities of some Western tribes in their influence against these old Nagas. Again, I don't know all of this stuff, but I just feel like I'm putting this out because someone else does, and they will maybe be able to see something more. So it says, warriors marched. The French then attacked the red men and company, I'm guessing. This led to their expulsion and massacre. All were killed but a priest who lived between the present town of Salina and Liverpool. He refused to, now again, this is talking about Iroquois Indians, but we're talking about a place called Liverpool right here in the Americas, because again, everything has been told in reverse, or everything that began in America ended up spreading into other places. And who knows if these people were expelled, or who knows what. I'm just randomly throwing things out there right now. There's no rhyme or reason to this post. It's like just throwing out seeds and seeing if someone can plant or do something with them. He refused to quit peaceably. They then put a chain around a plowshare and heating it, hung it around his neck. Again, this is something that I saw in an image today. I will not tell you where, but it is something that brought this to mind. Okay. Sometimes I just see these things, and sometimes I see these things. But was thus, with the symbol of agriculture, tortured to death. His hut was standing when the country was settled. The attempt to settle the Western New York by the French was in the age of Western chivalry, the 16th century, and was truly quixotic. I don't know. Traditions Pompeii. Okay. So again, now we're talking Pompeii. And its precincts were regarded by the Indians as the ground of blood, and it brought up to their minds many dark reminiscences. Okay, so again, I think there was something else about darkness that had something to do with the video that the brother shared. Again, I just pick up on these keywords and signals, and then you know what I'm saying, I'm just looking, right, or seeking. Okay. And it said, and it brought up to their minds many dark reminiscences. And as they passed it, some 20 years ago, there lived an aged Onanga, who said that many moons before his father's days, there came a party of white men from the east in search of silver from the height of the Onondaga again, hills. They describe the white foam of Onondaga Lake. And again, okay, there we go, talking about the foam. I don't know if I brought this up in something else, but there is another spring that I feel as though, again, that'll be just taking us somewhere else right now. And this was all the semblance they ever found of silver. One of the men died and was buried on Pompeii Hill, and his grave was marked by a stone. So again, here we go, talking about a stone, or a stone, maybe possibly a cornerstone that may have been laid. Who knows? Again, I was about to say something about a quarry. And again, here we go here. The asterisk means quarry. Wow. So the others built a fort on the noted ground about a mile east of Jamesville, where they cultivated the land. But at length the Indians came in the night and put them all to death. But there was a fearful and a bloody strife, in which the Indians fell like leaves before the autumn wind. And again, this is also making me think about Jerusalem or Israel, and portions of the Bible that talk about the leaves and if they're withered or not, and all of these signs and things like this. That again, a lot of people want to diss the biblical text, but it is very prominent, and for us to understand things that are going on right now, or that ignorance is going to still be there. And again, like I will always say, a lot of people don't see this, and so we're passing over information that's a lot deeper than any of this other stuff that we're doing at this moment, right? Because without going back to the basics or going back to the beginning, we will never understand what's going on now. And there's only a couple of people, I would think, I haven't even really run across any that see these things in this way. So there must be some reason why some of us are here in order to do this type of work. But again, they knew that you were going to put that Bible down once we left the church and we left religion. When we left the cult of religion, dogmatic ways of religion, they knew you were going to want to put the Bible down too, because that's what people do. You know what I'm saying? Instead of figuring out why, they just see. And so nobody's saying you have to be religious or go to church or anything. I'm just saying that some of us are able to interpret and see something a little bit deeper in this word. And it's mostly people that have not been indoctrinated by the church that are going to be able to do this. Those are, in my eyes, virgins when it comes to a spiritual aspect, because they haven't been contaminated or they haven't been blinded by the false ways. Okay. In which the Indians fell like leaves. Okay. Before the autumn wind. This spot of the field of blood. This spot is the field of blood. Okay. So again, it just told us where the field of blood is. So again, I'm guessing we can even possibly go here on Google search, or if someone lives, again, this was told me by Lucian. So again, this is making me think of like Lucian or Lucifer. Even it's bringing me back to South America. I think I used to watch this show called Always a Witch with my daughter. And the guy on their name was Lucian, and the girl was about to be burned at the stake, but she had her powers allowed her to be able to be freed from this. And again, some of us, I feel like, are going through spiritual levels of this right now, whether we sleep, when we're conscious or unconscious, whether we know it or not, possibly even in real life, that some of this stuff is going on. So again, it says here, bird's eye. Okay. Lucian bird's eye. Again, and that's like even what I was just telling you guys. It's funny that his name is Bird's Eye, because again, if you go on Google search and look at this place, you will have a bird's eye view. And maybe they have quarries there. I don't know. Maybe not. So it says Aurora called on the Reverend Mr. Mattoon. Vestiges of the Cayugas. Okay. Village, orchards, old forts, get a vocabulary, something. Okay. So again, we're just looking at this right now. I'm just putting this stuff together really quick. There's no rhyme or reason. Right. So when I looked at this here, I was trying to see travels in the 3 continents, Europe, Africa, and Asia. Again, the way they taught this to us, I don't see it that way. I feel like there was an ancient Ethiopia, because again, some of the text, how if we talk about Egypt, there's an A